Yellowstone might be wrapping up, but let's be honest, the blood-soaked history of the Dutton family is far from finished. As we dive into this explainer of the franchise's future, there is one project Taylor Sheridan is building right now that feels heavier and way more dangerous than anything we've seen before: 1944. If you look closely at the absolute emotional wreckage left behind in 1923, this next chapter is already shaping up to be the darkest, most gut-wrenching story ever told on this ranch. Because the emotional anchor of this upcoming era, it doesn't actually start in 1944. It bleeds directly out of that devastating finale of 1923. When Alex tragically died, Spencer Dutton didn't just lose the love of his life. He lost the literal only person who truly understood him. By the time the dust finally settled, all Spencer had left was their young son, John Dutton II, and the crushing, incredibly lonely responsibility of keeping the Yellowstone Ranch alive. And that sets up a psychological evolution for Spencer that maps out a really dark trajectory for the whole franchise. You go from this profound, tragic loss in 1923 through decades of heartening leading up to 1944, and that eventually bleeds right into generations of Dutton trauma. See, I don't think grief just made Spencer stronger over those decades. I think it completely rewired him. It transformed him into this hardened, emotionally untouchable leader. And that's exactly why 1944 is so compelling. We're going to witness exactly how this immense, unresolved pain literally shaped the Dutton generations that followed. Because raising a family on this specific piece of land has never been simple. Spencer faced this heavy, just suffocating reality of raising John Dutton II all alone, while bearing the immense weight of keeping the ranch intact against impossible odds, which means 1944 might not just be about protecting the ranch from outsiders. It's probably going to be about fighting for it, from the inside out. And here's where it gets crazy. The 1923 finale quietly planted the seeds for a massive twist that completely fractures the Dutton bloodline. After losing Alex, we know Spencer eventually had another son with a widow, and almost overnight the future of the Yellowstone Ranch turns into a massive powder keg. You've got John Dutton II standing on one side and the second son on the other. Now, John Dutton II? He might deeply believe the ranch belongs to him by blood, the original pure lineage of Spencer and Alex. But what if Spencer's second son completely disagrees? Just imagine the suspense here, the absolute Yellowstone-level chaos of two brothers, raised under the massive shadow of one legendary, hardened father, and both of them fiercely believing this ranch is their ultimate birthright. That right there, that is enough to tear any family to pieces. But wait, there's another crucial twist that almost everyone completely overlooks. Elizabeth. After Jack Dutton's tragic death, she left Montana, right? But she left pregnant. Which brings us to the single most explosive question hovering over 1944. What happens when Elizabeth and Jack's son eventually returns? What actually happens when a literal ghost from the past comes back to claim the very dirt his father bled and died to protect? Suddenly, we aren't just talking about family drama anymore. This is the blueprint for a full-blown Dutton civil war. Think about the board here. On one side, you have John Dutton II, driven by that pure Spencer and Alex bloodline. Then you have the second son, hardened and motivated by being raised directly on the land itself. And finally, the wild card, Jack and Elizabeth's son, fueled by the ultimate sacrifice of his father. That's three possible heirs, all gunning for one ranch. To really understand the absolute violence of this impending land dispute, we have to anchor it back to something we can call Dutton grief. It's this tragic repeating pattern where Dutton men survive immense emotional loss only by becoming unforgivingly hardened to the world. And sitting right at the center of this civil war is Spencer himself. He's older now, colder, watching his family literally tear itself apart while he remains emotionally trapped in the memory of Alex. It's honestly perhaps the saddest part of the entire story. A father trying to raise his sons, physically present, but emotionally, he's a ghost, still haunted by the woman he never, ever stopped loving. But while the family is slowly destroying itself from the inside, we also have to zoom out and look at the broader geopolitical map of Montana. Because if there's one rule in this universe, it's that external forces never stop closing in on the Duttons. And that brings us directly to the rainwater expansion. 1944 is going to dramatically deepen the Native American storyline. The board is expanding with the growing influence of the Rainwater family, shifting Native American alliances, and some seriously escalating regional land conflicts.
This adds a critical, high-stakes layer of external pressure to an already fractured ranch. Because while the Duttons are busy fighting each other for the crown, the Rainwater family is quietly building the power to just take the entire kingdom.
So the big question, when do we actually get to step onto this battlefield? Well, the studio is obviously keeping things pretty tight-lipped, but development is actively moving forward. Looking at the current production horizon, late 2027 is shaping up to be our most likely return to the ranch. We've got a few years to wait, for sure, but the pieces are already firmly locked on the board.
Which leaves us with one haunting, lingering thought to close out this explainer. With 3 different heirs willing to kill for the land, external empires closing in, and a patriarch emotionally hollowed out by grief, is this impending civil war just going to continue the story we know, or is it going to completely redefine the Dutton legacy forever?